Welcome to episode 0 of the 2016 BROhio show called Drafts and Laughs. So to start off the show, I have two special announcements. Announcement number 1 is that we have received 11 out of 12 of the manager's buy-ins. So we're only waiting for one more, and that's Austin, and hopefully I'll get that tomorrow, and we can reach our goal of receiving all of the buy-in money before the first week's games. The second announcement I have is that for the Best Team Name 2015 voting poll, which is in the message boards, we're still waiting on 2 of you to cast your vote so we can reward the trophy to whoever gets the most votes, and then I can reset the poll for the 2016 and go through the voting process again. So if you are one of the 2 people that has not voted, you need to do so. So that is my announcements, and now we're going to move on to the TITS, which is the acronym for Trades, Injuries, and Transactions. So we only have one preseason trade, and that's between Justin and Luke. Justin is giving Luke Jamal Charles and Tom Brady in exchange for Michael Floyd and Melvin Gordon. So very interesting trade. Kind of gives Luke's team a high-risk sort of feeling to add to the Dez Bryant, and like he posted in the message boards, when he has the opportunity to try that out again and kind of show that his team last year was good enough, he has to take that opportunity. So we'll see if that works out for him, or if Justin makes a good move. Moving on to the injuries, there's several, so I'm going to go through them fast. We have 3 players that are out for a little while. Those 3 players are Tyler Eifert, Devontae Parker, and Dion Lewis. So Eifert is out with his ankle until about week 4 to 6. Devontae Parker, his hamstring kind of sets him back 2 weeks. And then Dion Lewis, with the ACL tear last year, puts him back at week 7 at the earliest, maybe even farther. And then we have 3 players that are kind of still up in the air for week 1 that we're starting to get shed some light on. That's Eric Ebron, Jimmy Graham, and Jamal Charles. So Ebron, he sprained his ankle in the preseason, should be coming back soon, but he's a kind of a second-string tight end as far as fantasy goes, so not going to make a big impact. Same with Jimmy Graham with his tendon rupture last November, still recovering. And then Jamal Charles, going back to the Luke and Justin trade, with the ACL tear last year, definitely looks like Spencer Ware is going to be getting some more targets, but we'll just have to wait and see. The other injuries that are of note that you might want to know about if you own any of these players, Matt Jones, he should be good to start week 1, coming off a shoulder sprain. Jordy Nelson had a knee issue. He should be starting. Julian Edelman had a foot surgery back in May, but he should be playing. Jordan Matthews, he had a bone bruise in the preseason, but should be playing week 1. And then Thomas Rawls had his ankle surgery last year, but should be good to go this week. There were 4 concussions in the preseason, so they're still kind of on concussion watch. That's John Brown, Carlos Hyde, Dez Bryant, and Zach Miller. So those are the injury updates. I'm going to try to do this every week, keep you guys updated so that we don't have any people playing injured players. Zach, just kidding. And then I guess I'll go through the transactions with the draft review. So I'm going to put up on the screen here, somewhere in this area, the Football Guys rankings for the drafts. And you guys can take a look at those, look through them, and because those are the rankings I use to draft. And now kind of go through how I view each player's draft and go through our special guest for the week. So going down our member list, my draft is kind of based off of the Le'Veon Bell pick. it's kind of standard, but definitely when you pick Le'Veon Bell early with the suspension, it plays a big role on the rest of your draft, trying to be smart with running back picks to cover for him. And moving on to David, I called his draft the running back draft because he used 3 of his first picks to push really strong running back game, which should be good. And I guess to make up for that, he also drafted like 7 or 8 wide receivers that are all lower tier. So hopefully one of those takes off for him. But if not, he's got a pretty scary running game. And moving to Tyler, I just called it the Frank Gore draft because it was just really funny. His ambition to get Gore, and then, I don't know, the team doesn't seem too impressive. It kind of looks like he got outvalued on a lot of things. But Tyler is known to impress throughout the season, scoring the most points last season as a whole. So even though the draft might not seem as pretty, it's kind of like Frank Gore, and it just kind of continues to push on. Justin, I call his draft the loyalty draft just because he's a big Eagles fan, and he has several Eagles in his lineup with Matthews and Sproles. And now he's got Wentz after the Tom Brady-Jamal Charles trade. So, and he's been messing around with the Philadelphia kicker. So definitely calling Justin's kind of the classic Justin or the loyalty draft. Zach's draft, I called the revenge draft just because I thought it was a pretty decent draft. I really like the Latavius Murray pickup, and really I think he's going to do pretty well this season based on the draft, kind of revenge from his failures last year. Russell's draft I called the Demaryius Auto because he was so upset about getting Demaryius Thomas as an auto draft pick. I forget who he said he would have had, but man, that just cracked me up. But with one thing Russell has that I really like is that he picked a JE to cover for Lamar Miller, and I think Roger did something similar. So that's really cool to see some really smart picks like that. Luke is the high-risk draft and kind of the repeat draft as far as working the trade to get Jamal Charles as well as Dez Bryant. And he has the Matt Forte, kind of a risky pick with now that Forte's on a new team, and a tight end with the concussion. It's going to be an interesting. Hopefully it works out for Luke. Well, maybe not, but we'll see how that goes. Nathan's draft, I call, just like David's is the running back draft, Nathan's is the quarterback draft. Picking Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger both pretty early in the draft. Definitely trying to solidify that quarterback game, and picking up Tony Romo off the waivers. I think that he's going to be trying to do some trade bait. Roger, similar to how I had like a Le'Veon Bell draft, where one player picking him early kind of defines the rest of your draft. Roger has Gronkowski, so it's kind of like a Gronk draft where you might not have the strongest wide receiver line, but you have Gronk, and what else do you need? So Rodgers' team looks pretty solid, but stronger tight end, weaker wide receiver than most people. Andrew, I consider to have the overall most balanced draft. Nothing was too overvalued, undervalued, pretty standard, very solid, and he's kind of been sticking to that mindset throughout all the years we've been doing this. So Andrew's team page sticks to balance, and we'll turn the page to Austin, who, again, David the running back draft, Nathan the quarterback draft, Austin is the wide receiver draft. So if you look at Austin's lineup, he has A.J. Green, Jordy Nelson, Golden Tate. Pretty impressive wide receiver line, but with Rashad Jennings as his RB2, it's going to be kind of a challenge for him to push for a lot of points, but definitely strong wide receivers there. And then the girls, I wanted to make a female pun and also talk about the value that they had. So the best thing I got is I call it the value tourist draft. But definitely they didn't get as much advice from us as last year, but it looks like they did pretty solid. Um, Definitely kind of just picking whatever's at the top of the list for the positions they need, and it works. That's people with auto drafts can still win, and the girls team also has LaShawn McCoy and Sammy Watkins, so they're a little more reliant on the Bills. Um, and here's my joke for you: what is the difference between the Buffalo Bills and a dollar bill? And the answer is that you can still get 4 quarters out of a dollar bill. But hopefully it works out for them. Generally, if you have a running back wide receiver, you can kind of expect to have more standard scoring rather than like more extreme weeks. But it really depends on the team. So I have a special guest today to talk about the draft and his team. And I'm going to turn it over to myself for the interview. Okay, Andrew, who do you think has the best and the worst teams in this year's draft?
I have not looked at the teams, so I have no idea.
Okay, I think he said that Kyle has the best team. Okay, then who's your favorite player on your team? Zeke. All right, that was fun, guys, and I hope you liked that. And we're going to try to get a special guest on each week. But just to kind of go over one more thing I thought you guys might like is the projections for week 1. I'll go through from starting at what should be the biggest victory to the closest game. We'll go down the list. So right now, Zach is projected a +9 on Tyler, so that's kind of the biggest spread. Mary Lou and Sarah have a 7 points over Luke as far as projection goes. Roger, 5 points over Andrew. David, 4 points over Justin. Austin, 4 points over myself. And then Russell and Nathan have equal projections. So that's going to be the game to watch between the second place team from last year and the Adrian Petersons. So we'll see how that goes. And right now, current standings, we're all tied. But we'll move to the 1-0 and the 0-1s next week. Final thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I'm going to try doing each week. I think it's going to be good. We'll go over any special announcements. We'll go through the tits and the matchups. Maybe some trophies if that happens, and kind of go through the standings and just have some fun. I'm going to try to work with some of this editing and get a video guest or something each week. So hopefully you guys like it, and have good luck first week.